Okay guys, so in 17th place we have the Monster Microfiber White Wonder, or White Blunder as I call it. Okay, so this towel is $3.95. It's 16 by 16. The GSM on it, they tell me, is 500. That does not sound right to me. That does not sound right. It's way less than that. So where they're getting that from, I don't know. They weren't sure on the blend or the country of origin. He thought it might be 70-30 China or Korea, but it could be 80-20. That was the advice I've given. Monster Microfiber, they package and brand these. They turn up with a label on it saying Monster Microfiber. There's their website, there's their email address. Website doesn't exist. Email address doesn't exist. That is a Mickey Mouse thing, that is. You know, if you're setting up a company and you put your labels on, you get your web page and they don't exist. What the hell, whoever they are, it's Mickey Mouse, that is. Okay, what else have we got to talk about? Pile height is about 5 mil on one side. The other side is different, and we'll talk about that in a while. It's more kind of flattened over. So it's not 500 GSM, it is very dense and it's short pile, and I talked about that optimum kind of mopping. This pile is too short and too dense to get that mopping, okay? So origin and blend we weren't sure of. Border, so it's an edgeless border, okay? It doesn't have any issues with the kind of gauzing, you know, getting that sharp nylon piece, that, you know, the border quality. There isn't an issue with the plastic in there, okay, the polyester or nylon, whatever it is. But there is a big issue with the border giving up kind of fluff. Some of them tend to do that. And this has been through the wash a few times, and even after it's been through the wash, you go and use this towel, the edge gives up so much fluff, and it's annoying because it goes everywhere, bits of fluff, so I didn't like that. How did the cloth fare in the testing? Okay, the main side with the nap on it, with the pile, was really grabby. Okay, it just didn't like removing polish particularly well. Okay, very grabby, felt rough on the paintwork, hit saturation point very quickly. Okay, this towel has some sort of patent called patent water jet technology, which sounds great, but meaningless because the towel doesn't perform well. The saving grace of this towel is the other side without the nap. And this side would usually be kind of hidden away on some double-sided towel, I think. But this other side is actually quite, it's an extremely short kind of brushed over nap that's a lot finer. And I quite like this side, and I found that on waxes, even though the main nap side was grabby, this other side can cope quite nicely with removing a paste wax from the car. So I actually quite like this, and you might actually find a role for this towel kind of finishing down and using with paste waxes or just a final finish. So, you know, it's not a complete disaster this, but it scored low on the linting, not because the cloth gives up lint, very few of them will if they're maintained properly, but the border was fluffing like hell. So how did this towel do? It scored just a couple of percentages higher. So our Fantastic Fur was 48%, this came in at 49%, so it just pipped it, which is a bit harsh really, because this you can use. The Fantastic Fur is one for the bin, you know. It's not made of dodo fur, it's made of turkey. Right, on to the next one. Okay guys, so in 16th place we have the Mammoth Microfiber Infinity Edgeless. Okay, so this towel, for a start on the price, is $4.99, £5. So it's not cheap, but it's not particularly expensive. It's somewhere around average. Okay, it's a 16 by 16 towel, which is good. The GSM is 600. Okay, the blend is they wouldn't tell me the blend, and they wouldn't tell me the country of origin. and I asked a few times and even called them, and I got no responses to the email, and they said they'd look into it on the phone, didn't get back to me. So they don't really know the blend and where it's from, and they weren't able to find out. That's not good, because they're the only guys selling it. So if they don't know, who else does? Again, is a professional going to go and buy that? The pile height is about 7 mil, so it's a 600 density with 7 mil nap height. It's over dense, and it's getting towards the state where it's becoming more carpet-like and less mopping-like. Okay, and that combined with the fact I can feel that the nap on it is not particularly smooth. Okay, made me think that this towel is going to be quite grabby when I tested it, and I've got the test results here in front of me. It was too grabby for me. Found it difficult to use as a four-way towel because it would grab and slide off. So you really, a lot of them do have problems doing that, achieving that four-way kind of fold because of the grabbing on sticky polishes or curing sealants, you know. But it had good absorption, to be fair, but because it's so densely packed, each part of the towel will get saturated a bit quicker than a towel that's got that optimum kind of density and nap height I was talking about. So it scored 6 out of 10 for the polish removal. Okay, wax, it did well. I gave it 8 out of 10. It removed it all. It was able to cope with it. Again, if I had to criticise it, it feels a bit rough, and it hits saturation point too quickly, and it's a bit carpety. Okay, I don't want to be over negative about this towel. They're starting to get to the stage where this is a functional buffing cloth. Okay, so let's not destroy it. It comes 16th, not because it's a complete turkey like our dodo juice, our dead dodo. It's a turkey. It's not a turkey. It's just outgunned. Okay, the quality isn't good enough. So overall, the percentage score on this one was 49% as well. Okay. Okay guys, so in 15th place we have the Euro Shag pile. I love that name, Shag pile. It's real like Austin Powersy. Shag pile. Okay, so this towel is priced at $267 a unit, so it's our cheapest so far, one of the cheapest overall. You have to buy 3 of them to get that though, so it's, you know, it's like $7.95 or something for 3, but £2.67 roughly, you know, maybe a couple of pennies out there per towel. So very cheap. Size, it's 16 by 12, so it's a rectangle. It's the smallest towel in our list. Okay, so I don't particularly like that. It's not a killer, it's not a showstopper, but my hands go beyond it a little bit, and you'll really, when your hands go beyond it, it means the pressure is going to be working down on that silk border, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, pile height, what have we got here? About 7 to 8 millimeters, so it's a good pile height actually. Its density, its GSM is 660, which is really high, probably getting some extra density from that border. It doesn't feel like 660 to me, but it's a dense towel, but a really good ideal kind of nap height, and it actually, the nap on it feels quite nice. Okay, it's made in China. It's an 80-20 blend. Okay, and we just mentioned it's got the silk border. Okay, so it's not the end of the world, but I don't particularly like the silk border. And even on top of that, I could zoom you in and show you how the border's kind of sealed off with the closing stitches, and it's not good. It really isn't. It also had a label on it, the only one, so you've got to pick that label off and try not to tear all the stitching around the end. That's not good. Okay, but it's cheap. So the strengths are, it's cheap and it's got a nice nap on it. Okay, nice fluffy, quite a silky nap as well compared to the roughness of that Infinity Edgeless, I tell you. So that's the strengths. Where are we going here? So the manufacturing quality is not great, but it's not woeful on the actual kind of stitching, you know, the weft knitting, if you like. Okay, very good nap feel. How did this hold up in testing? It felt overly thick when you had it folded 4 ways. It struggled. It was too small for the hand, and like I said, the edge, when you've got your hand over that, you'll you are putting that edge into your clear coat, and I do not like doing that with silk, and it doesn't do much when you get product on it, okay? I noticed when I was testing it that the edge had picked up polish, not good. Okay, but it still took the polish off, okay? Like I say, the map is good. Covered quite well with the wax, again a little bit smearing from the border. Not a disaster, okay? It's okay for linting. You have to be quite careful with how you wash these ones. If you wash them wrong, like I might have gone on about that in another towel, this towel's quite sensitive to that, because I've been using this towel for quite a while and I've ruined my other ones because I didn't know how to wash them back in the day. So you need to be careful. 15th overall score, 54%. Not a disaster for the price. A lot of people like these towels. I can see why. I don't particularly like them, but I appreciate why they're okay, you know. Okay guys, so in 14th place we have the Mammoth Microfiber Furry Canary. So again, this is priced at I think £4.95 or £5 roughly. It's a 16 by 16 size towel, so it's a good size. GSM unknown, again with the other Mammoth Microfiber one, I didn't know, but no GSM on this one. No blend on this one, so I don't know if it's 70-30, 80-20, whatever. No country of origin on this one, okay? Border is stitched. Pile height I've got is about 5 to 6 mil maybe, okay? It's a little bit short, the pile on this. The density is very low, so it's a low. It's interesting. I'm glad I've got this one in the test, because it's a slightly different format. It's very fluffy. And you are actually getting that mopping action. You're getting it because even though it's quite a short nap, it's not very dense at all. So you are getting to use that full yarn on each on each of the little strands that's coming out of the towel. So there's no carpeting going on with this, which I like. So I was interested to see how this worked. Okay, even though I don't know what the GSM and the blend is and where it's made, I can tell you from the packet that it came in. It's made in China. I think it's 80-20. It could be a different blend, but I think it's 80-20, definitely Chinese. And it's a low density, maybe even less than 300, but perhaps around 300. Stitched border, okay, not too keen on those, not the end of the world. How did this fare in the testing, okay? So this actually removed polish quite nicely, okay? It's a bit grabby, as they all are, but you know, the fact that it's really light as well means that when it grabs it, you know, your hand flies off the top of it a little bit, so it's a bit prone to that, and there's less to grab hold of because it's quite thin. But it actually absorbed the polish really well. So it got a good mark on the polish removal, but after using this a bit more, what I can tell you is the fact that it's low GSM, low density, and quite a short pile means this towel hits saturation quickly. So if you had a pile of 10 high, thick, dense buffing cloths that are at that ideal sweet spot, you know, and you were doing a car, you'd get through 20 of these for every 10 of the other ones you get through, because of the fact that it's got no density. So that's the biggest weakness with this towel, but I actually enjoyed the way it worked, and it was great on the wax as well, on the paste wax, and it had zero linting issues. So this is a very functional towel, but its Achilles heel is its lack of density and it hitting saturation quickly, okay? What did it score overall? 54%. So it's not bad. Quite like this. Okay guys, so in 13th place, it is the Monster Microfiber Purple Monster. Have I got that right? I have. Monster Microfiber Purple Monster, okay? So this towel is £5, I believe. Yeah, £4.95. So you can get, I think they do a multi-buy, so you can get 3 of them, drop the price a little bit, but £4.95 if you want to buy one towel. 16 by 16 format. very high density. Let me just check that. So it's a 600 density. Yeah, that is 600. I can feel it. It's Chinese. Yeah, it's 80/20. Okay, it's a 7 mil roughly, the pile height on this. So it's, first thing I want to tell you about this towel is it's over dense. Okay, I talked about carpet, and you don't want one that's like a rug. Okay, this is like a carpet and a rug, and it's too dense. So I felt that straight away. So I wanted to feel, you know, it doesn't feel really silky smooth like the other ones. It feels a bit like a carpet. It's an edgeless cut border, and I talked to you about, you know, towels that just because it's got an edgeless cut doesn't mean it's the dog's danglies, if you pardon the expression. And this is an example of one that has a bad edge. So if you can hear that, crackling noise? That is the nylon or polyester. Right there, look at that. You'll be out of focus there. I've got the manual focus on. I can tell you can see the nylon sort of core to this towel, and you can feel it. If I can feel it, if ever I'm working this over my paintwork and it flaps around a bit, there's a chance that can be getting pushed against the car, and that will scratch. Make no doubts about it, okay? So yeah, this is one that I thought, Christ, okay. Be careful when I'm using this. Make sure it's nice and flat to the to the clear coat, and you're controlling it because it's got a nasty edge on it. Okay, how did it hold up in the testing? Okay, it was grabby as I predicted. It was rough on the paintwork. It's so dense and thick. It didn't like being in the fourfold. It was too grabby for that. So it works better if you just have it doubled over. Okay, some of them do. That's not a massive point, you know, but I just like them to be usable as a kind of fourfold. It does have good absorption, but because it's like a carpet, the thicker the thing is that it's trying to absorb. So, you know, polishes and waxes, because it's so densely packed, they get no chance to use the whole pile. There's no mopping going on, it's the tip. So you hit saturation quite quickly, even for a big, deep pile, kind of thick cloth. So it only got 6 out of 10 for the polish. It was nice with the wax. I wouldn't have too many issues with taking paste wax off the car with this. Again, a curing sealant though that's sticky. It's going to be hard work with this. It had no linting issues, okay, so it did well on that front. But yeah, this performed as I thought it would. I don't particularly like this towel, but you know, this is one I've seen recommended before by a lot of people that will tell you it's the best towel on the market, and it really isn't. And I don't think you need to be a genius to kind of spot that when you start comparing it with some of the front runners here, but it isn't a disaster, okay? So what did it score overall as a percentage? I think it's got 59% roughly, okay? Probably maybe a bit harsh to have it in front of the Furry Canary, to be honest, because that was a bit more, the nap on that was a bit fluffer and lighter, but so thin it really hits saturation quickly, whereas this is so dense it hits saturation quickly. Okay, so that's the purple Monster. So the next towel, this is the Bouncers all buffed up, okay? So Bouncers, UK company, love their quick detailer, very good reputation, and there's some good waxes they do as well. So check out Bouncers if you're in the UK, or even if you're not. I don't know if they send anywhere else. So anyway, back to the towel. Bouncers all buffed up. So this towel is £7.99. Wow. Okay, so it's the most expensive so far by quite some way. When you consider we've got some good towels out there for £2.60 odd. If you're putting a towel out for £8, it's got to be good. Okay, so let's talk about this towel. It's 16 by 24, so it's that long towel. So it's almost, you know, it's almost like a drying towel, mini drying towel. So I'm looking at myself in the camera here, and it's reminding me of those little Chad things you used to draw when you were at school with the bloke's head popping over the top of the wall. Looks good, especially with my hair falling out. I look like Chad. So yeah, I don't like the size of this towel. When you it's too big. When you fold it over, you can only get your hand on half of that bit, and the rest of it flaps all around. Really, don't like that. But it's not a showstopper. It's just a little personal preference of mine. The GSM of the towel, forgive me, it's 550. It doesn't feel like a 550 GSM towel again. I don't know if the border's affecting that. It feels a lot less than that. I'd put it down at about 400 to be honest, but that's what they tell me, 550 GSM. Pile height, I've got it measured at about 6 mil roughly, okay? I have to sort of say, if it was 550 GSM and 6 mil, it'd be overly dense. I don't think this is 550 GSM. Like I say, more about 400. It's similar to the Fluffy Canary, but it's a little bit denser than the Fluffy Canary, which is a good thing actually. So they might be onto something here. Let's just quickly talk about country of origin. They tell me it's Korean and it's a 70-30 blend. So that's nice. That's a good absorbent, softer blend. I'm not sure if I'd be able to actually tell with this though. If I had to guess, I wouldn't have been able to tell that. Okay, but the initial impressions is I quite like the nap on this. It's got that mopping thing going on. It's not a carpet. It's good, but perhaps a little bit on the short side and a little bit underdense. Like I say, no way is this 550 GSM. Okay, couldn't find any issues with the manufacturing quality. Looked quite good. All the stitching was nice on it, so that was good. How did it work? Okay, so with the 4-fold on the polish test, it was very grabby. The cloth was floppy, didn't really like being used 4 ways. Reasonably smooth. I just kind of found it was average at removing the polish. You know, I wouldn't say it was woeful. I wouldn't recommend it. It can take off polish, but ultimately it wasn't, you know, it was nothing really, it didn't excel at removing the polish. It's probably the best way to put it, but quite smooth on the paintwork, so that's good. The wax, it took off quite nice. Quite happy with how it buffed off the wax. I gave it a good 9 out of 10 there. No real issues with it, apart from it being a little bit awkward to use. It didn't seem to, I've used it a bit more, it didn't seem to get saturated quickly like the Furry Canary. But again, there are towels out there that you can use for longer that will not get saturated as quickly. And that is because the pile on it is quite short and it isn't that dense, okay? The towel has no linting issues. So this is a solid mid-Premier League table team, if you like. Nothing majorly wrong with it. The biggest thing is though, really, and this is a negative because I like bouncers and I want to be positive, but really for £8 for the towel, you should be doing better really. You should be up at the top end. So it's a mid-performer, but it's expensive, an expensive mid-performer, okay? So you get the message with this one. Okay guys, so next up in 11th place, this is the Rag Monster Everest 1100, okay? This towel is £5.99. It's a 16 by 16 towel. It's quite a short nap on it, about 5 mil roughly. Its GSM is 1100. Repeat 1100. So this is insanely dense, about double the density of the next one down roughly, or the next one down I think is 600. It gets its density by being 2 thick towels stitched together, and you can see the stitching lines down the middle, which are very hidden away, so it's not going to cause you any problems, so don't worry about that. It's made in Korea, okay? It is a 70-30, so quite an absorbent. The scale is on the absorbent soft side with the blend. The manufacturing quality, as with most things that Ragmaster will sell you, is very good. Okay, very good. What's to say about this towel? Okay, before I started using it, well, I know this towel very well. Okay, I've had these for a while. So the first thing that I need to tell you about is it's thicker because of that density. This is a monster of a towel, okay? A monster of a towel. It's thicker and more absorbent and has more kind of the density, you know, 1100 GSM. There's more cloth for your money here than, you know, even the highest drying towels get up to 1100. So it's incredibly dense. don't know if I mentioned it's got a stitched border. Okay, that's the first thing you need to know. If you went and bought one of these, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, this thing's thick. Okay, so how did it hold up in the testing? Okay, unfortunately, this towel, I find, and I knew this before the test really, to be fair, is not particularly great at removing polish, okay? And I could have told you that, yeah, it's not great. It's a carpet, okay, but it's a very soft, lovely carpet, almost like a pillow, you know, lovely thing this is. But way, way, way too dense. You can only use the real top bit of the nap, even though it's quite fluffy, okay? And I knew when I was going to run this over that it was never going to cope being folded 4 ways on polish, okay? So you've got to use this one way. That's it, like that. Okay, it's not good at removing polish, okay? It's scored very lowly on that. But on the flip side, it just takes off wax. Anything that's not grabby, this will just gently glide over. You've got so much cushioning, beautiful for taking off wax. It will be horrible on curing sealants as well that stick down on you, and you really need to give it some stick. So you wouldn't use it on anything that's sticky and difficult to remove, polishes and curing sealants. I personally use this for paste waxes and quick detailers, but yeah, that's my thing. So it scored highly removing the wax. It doesn't really, I noticed a little bit of fluff. It's so dense, you can sometimes, it's not so much linting, but can be some fluff in there, and I've had this one a while, okay? But it doesn't really have any major linting issues, so it's fine there. So this towel came 11th overall. It got 60%. It's a specialist towel that's great at certain things, but not so great at other things, like I've just said, okay? So, in 10th place, okay, this is the Blackfyre Midnight Wax Removal Tool. I'm just going to call it a Blackfyre Midnight, okay? Its price is $4.99. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, $4.99. Sorry, I just got to check. There's a lot of information here. I'm never going to remember it all, so I've got my spreadsheet printed off down there. It's 16 by 16. Okay, it is 400, is it? Yeah, 400 GSM. Its country of origin is China. Okay. The blend type they don't know, which is pretty bad. Because again, if they don't know, who the hell does? Not me, but I can guess. I think it's an 80-20, and I'm pretty confident it's 80-20. Okay, so it's not the end of the world. I did have to ask them what the GSM was, I think, and what the country of origin was, and they replied back with that, so good on them. It's a borderless cut. It's about 7mm kind of 7mm high nap on it, okay? So it's a good mix, actually. It's a good mix of height and GSM. The height's on the lower end of that sweet spot, you know, 8 to 9 maybe might be a bit better. You can just get away with 7. And I said 450 was the sweet spot, 450 to 500. At 400 it's a bit low, and I can feel when it's on my fist it's very light, okay, or on the light side. One other thing to mention with this, out of all of the cloths I ordered, you know, every single one of these that I know of, they all come in bags, you know, so they don't get debris on them when they're being shipped around and they're sitting in warehouses and stuff like that, you know. This is the only one that didn't come in a bag, and it didn't come folded up. It comes sort of all screwed up and kind of pressed down and flattened. You're paying £5 for a premium buffing cloth, and it turns up like that. You kind of, it's like a little kick in the knackers. So yeah, that was a bit, you know, slap in the face is a better term. Sorry, not kick down there. So that was a comment that I made. How did this actually perform? So it passed the 4-fold test, so I could use it 4-folded just, although it's a little bit on the light side. It did really well with removing the polish. I gave it an 8 out of 10. So great. The waxes, it did really well removing the waxes. I loved it on the wax, actually. Felt nice and absorbent and really smooth. No issues with linting. So this cloth tested quite well, okay? And we're getting into the category now, this top 10, where even though, you know, we're not even halfway through yet, but this is a good cloth, okay? There's nothing wrong with this Blackfyre Midnight cloth. I like it, okay? Again, with that lower GSM and slightly suboptimal, in my opinion, nap height, you know, there are towels that can pull up more for longer before you have to swap to the next one. So it's a little bit on the light side, and there are towels out there with a higher quality, fluffier, silkier nap. So this isn't bad. This is a real case of it's up against some really tough competition. So it came in 10th and it can hold its head up high, and I like this towel is the summary, okay? What did it score? 63% for the Midnight, no, the Blackfyre Midnight, okay?